Everybody here for this great workshop, and with that, I'll turn it over to Greg.
All righty, thank you, Mayor, and we're here today to have a presentation by Mr. Chad Netherland on the 2026 marketing plan and budget for the CVB.
Yes, I do. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I have just 6 of these. Pass all the way down to Greg if you don't want to. So my apologies, I don't have enough for the whole class. I'm already in trouble.
Those are on the test.
Yeah, right. I do have a couple of them. I need to probably got one of those for sure.
Okay,
Oh, you got that. Okay. Yeah. Now, you like my AI picture? I was telling, I put this in here for Commissioner Smith, and I love these Land Rovers. That one's currently broken down in the middle of the road, the AI road there. But real quick, what I want to do is I want to present. It's a true story. I want to present the 26 marketing plan, and then present our 26 overall business plan for the CVB. And so if you have any questions, just stop me, or if not, we have to wait to the very end, and we'll collect them all there. So just like every year, we're in several markets. This year we're in 22 markets, and I'll show you which markets those are, but we've added, with thank you for City Commission approving additional markets for us to be in. Tampa, St. Pete, and Orlando are going to be 2 markets that we're in this year, so that's part of the 22 that you'll see. I'm going to show a little bit about our seasonal flighting, how we approach different markets and when we advertise in them, and I'm going to show you a few enhanced tactics that we're using this year that we're not using next year. Here's the 22 markets that we're in. Obviously, Tri-Cities, that's 3 of the, so if you're counting them up, but you see Orlando and Tampa, St. Pete up there. Again, thank you for the additional for us to get into those markets. How we segment the markets out is we look at it seasonally, and then we look at groups based on where they are geographically. So it's listed 1, 2, 3, 4. The further out they are, they would be in group 1. The closer they get, group 2, group 3. Some of the markets like Asheville, North Carolina, GSA, could go group 2 or group 3, but we have to group them. So this is kind of what it looks like. So we say, hey, we're going to hit these markets. How do we approach them? And that's based on how far out they plan. So we know when they're planning, what they're looking at, when they're coming, when they arrive in market, and then we try to get out ahead of them, saying, hey, Gatlinburg's a great place. We do that seasonally. And in the back of that flow chart, in the back of that marketing plan, you can see the flow chart, and it's a little hard to see on the screen, but you can walk through it if you need something at nighttime to put you to sleep. But it will show you exactly when we start advertising. So you'll look at group 1, group 2, and group 3, spring, summer, fall, and winter. Spring starts in February, and then you see that planning window as it moves through. And I'll show you a slide at the last that kind of shows you how we plan that. But any questions so far about that? All right. Our targeting has always been predominantly females 25 to 54, but it gets more and more complicated and more elaborate as now AI is kind of taking precedence. We not only know where they're coming from, we know what they're looking at, and now with AI and the new persona targeting, we know actually who they are. We know what their interests are, their behaviors are, and we're targeting them at a completely different level. We know how they consume media, where they consume it, how long they consume it, what they're watching, and then we make sure at the right time to deliver the right message. So it gets more scary each and every year as to how we can target people based on what they're looking at, what they're even considering doing when they're in that intent to travel mode. We still target by visitor profile as well. You see Gen Z up here, and probably within the next year, you're going to see Gen Alpha, which is an even younger generation that's making traveling decisions coming to the market. The Gen Alphas that you haven't seen up here yet, they're the young ones that are like 8 years old who want to plan a trip to Chicago because they want to be a culinary blogger. You know, it's bizarre to think about how this is working, but that is the reality that we're living in, and we want them to come to our town. As we target these, it's a little more complicated than just say I want to reach a household income of $60,000 plus with no children in 25 to 54. This ties back into what are their interests, what are their travel patterns, what do they search online, who do they follow, what do they follow. But the visitor profile continues to get more elaborate, and then we've added the affinity to travel, people who just want to just go out and experience things. I always like to do things by the numbers. I coined a a phrase from, actually it was Jim Pattison, and he would always say, if you cannot measure it, you cannot manage it. And that goes right back into what we do. So this is a Datafy report. We can look at, this is a 3-year trending report, and we can say, who comes to our market, where do they come from, what points of interest did they visit while they were here, how long were they in market, and my number one favorite thing, which markets spend the most money? And we want to go after some of these markets to try to get the higher disposable income markets to visit us more often. If you look at the far right, that's top spending over 3 years. Atlanta, no surprise, one of the highest DMAs that we target with the highest disposable income. Nashville, Cincinnati, Charlotte, and then it goes down the list. Now, obviously, that is all compacted over 3 years, but if you broke that out seasonally, that's going to change, because if you look at fourth quarter, it's going to be Miami, it's going to be South Florida, it's going to be those markets that predominantly have the highest spend. But annually, that's what it looks like. And when we start to target these markets, we're keeping that in mind. How do we get people to come to the area that are going to stay longer and spend more money?
Is this only the markets that we're covering is just where we're advertising in?
No, these are just the markets. This is
So if you had
Datafy.
people, this is from Datafy, so.
This is
okay.
from Datafy. So Datafy can track, there's roughly 350 million Americans in the US. Datafy can track 200 million devices. So when they come into the market, if they stay longer than a day, it pings the device, and then it's able to detect where it came from, how long it was in market, and where it went during the market. I can look at it on any given Tuesday. Gatlinburg's really busy, and they're like, "Oh my God, Tuesday's a great day." Well, Dollywood's closed, and so it's a direct. You can look, you can see the ebb and flow of traffic through this thing. It's quite scary, honestly, but it's a great tool.
Can they book rental cars, or can they distinguish that from the
Rental
register?
cars used to be in here, and they took it out for some reason. They had the ability to look at any car previous to 2022, I think. They could just track the car in general from the onboarding, because it's always looking for satellites and whatnot. So, but they removed that for some reason. I'm not sure. It was only in there for like 6 months, and it was gone. And it might have been some legal issue, but some kind of a privacy thing. I'm sure Ford was like, "Quit doing that." I don't know. But interesting data, and as we make more informed decisions, we're making that because we know that they're coming, we know where they're staying, and then how much they're spending. A few things that we're changing. OTT is digital television, OTT and CTV. We typically have been buying a lot of inventory to get a high number of impressions. Now we're kind of shifting that where I don't care as much about the high number of impressions. I want really quality impressions. I want to buy the Hallmark channel. I want to buy the channels that have a higher interest of probability that they will come to the market. So we're buying higher premium inventory. We're also changing some behavioral targeting where typically we would implement a contextual, like contextual is what they're typing, what are they looking for. Behaviorals, like in their threads, what are they actually looking for all the time? So changing some of that. So OTT, CTV is one of the biggest things that we do each and every year. We're just kind of switching up some of those tactics.
Stand for OTT and CTV?
OTT stands for over the top. This was the technology came out where if you had a gaming system, all the data would travel over the top of the other. Sort of like a voice over IP phone system. It's just kind of their new way of delivering data over the top of the phone carrier. They would deliver advertising. That's where it kind of got the OTT. But CTV is all digital television.
Okay.
So, and then adding, premium channels, obviously Disney, Hulu, there's a lot of things now that we didn't have the ability to access that inventory before because it was closed, but now we do. So I think targeting those higher propensity to travel is kind of where we're at. So paid social, obviously this is one of the biggest things that we do each and every year. Messaging, this past year people are looking for deals and discounts. We don't want to just discount stuff because it looks cheap. We want to do a value add. We want to show value and not just offer discounts. But the messaging that people are looking for are that. So we're trying to emphasize creative around that. And then again, retargeting based on behavioral interest and not just contextual, not just what people are texting from, typing in from a keyword perspective, but who are these individuals and how do we reach them when they're looking to have intent to travel. Paid search is a big one. This is where AI really starts to come into to focus here. We buy a lot of Google ads. Now they have two different versions. They have AI Max Pro and they have PMax and then AI Max Pro. The difference, and I won't bore you, but one is a shotgun effect where you're reaching a lot of people. The other is a sniper effect where you're reaching one particular niche audience. But it's all AI related, so it's trying to interpret what they're looking for all the time with the generative AI and things that are happening in our world. It's changing very, very quickly. Also within our campaigns, we're running a Google ad campaign, but we're also running an Apple campaign at the exact same time in the Apple space to get people to download the app, which is actually helping quite a bit. And then shifting some targeting away from Gatlinburg branded keywords, because if somebody types in the word Gatlinburg, we're going to come up organically anyway. So some cost savings there with a little bit of a change, and then put a cap on some of the things that we're doing so that the AI doesn't break the bank, because that's what it's engineered to do, is to continue to generate and reach things based on how much money you assign to it. YouTube is a big one for us, and we're going to continue to go down that road. YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. It's owned by Google. We're continuing to optimize things there, putting in non-skippable ads, putting in bumpers with our new ad creative, and then kind of leaning into some of our vendors. The Tennessee Department of Tourism Development has a vendor where we can get co-op advertising through this, which cuts down some of the overall expense and gives us kind of a 2 and 3 to 1 on our expenditure. Programmatic media is where we buy people, individual places, not just where they are, but again, who they are. And then we found ways to layer more enhanced versioning with AI, where we can go in and target people who are interested in airline loyalty programs. So if you're an Allegiant Air customer, you're a Delta Air customer, we now have access to target those people. Are you interested in flying? We know you're interested in travel. We can also deliver you ads based on where you are geographically. This is a nice new toy, and I'll make this one quick. Tiki is a new vendor that I'm looking at that is the first ad that's fully AI interactive. So if you get an ad right now, if you're on, pick anything that you're on, well, ESPN, whatever, you get an ad about something and it's dynamic. It's basically this ad, you can click on it and it brings you somewhere. This ad is fully interactive. This ad will be like, what would you like to know about Gatlinburg? Well, I'd like to know the best places to eat. And then it goes down that tunnel and that corridor, and it pulls back all the information, and we put constraints on it to Gatlinburg.com. Here's all the best places to eat, where are you located. Now it's a conversation in an advertising space versus just here's a brochure or here's a digital ad. So conversation based is kind of where this is going. So it's very, very cool, and I hope it works. If it works, it's my idea. If it's not, it's Angela's. Go with that. So a couple things here. I'll speed it up. Broadcast is still really big for us. We are mandated to buy a certain number of gross ratings points. Just to give you a quick boring analogy, let's say you have a TV market. TV stations cannot control more than 39% of any market that they're in, so roughly 40%. If you want to reach 180 GRPs and you're running for 20 weeks, you would run that six times to get your 180. So it's the percentage of how many times you are in a market versus the market size. So if they have basically 30 to 40% of the market, that's how you get your DRPs. But huge broadcast and OTTs are the biggest things that we do, and I'll show you that when we get to the end. We still have out of home campaign, which is huge for Gatlinburg. We have 41 billboards, including 19 boards roughly in Nashville that are done seasonally. This isn't our current creative, but this is the current locations that we have. Print's still big for us. I won't bore you with all the things, but we're in all the big magazines. Travel, we're in Southern Living, we're in Good Grit, we're in Kentucky Monthly, and we have quite a few co-ops that we do with this. Now, this is not just print, but digital as well. So we're on some of their websites, and we're on some of the digital media within this as well. In the back of your book, which you will also all receive at the Chamber Banquet, you guys are the first ones to get a peek look at this. This has every flow chart that we have. What you're looking at is broadcast, and you're on our traditional broadcast, what markets it airs, what months it airs on, and then for how many weeks. And then we have that for every one. Digital, obviously digital overlays, all of these markets, and then the print flow chart, you see what publications we're in and when they air as well. One of the few things here, and I'll try to wrap up here, we do require, when we place media, that we get a 25% added value. So if we spend $1 million, we're going to get $250,000, and we're going to get worth of in-kind media that we can use for PR, that we can use for on-air appearances. We still use the state co-op for for some of the print, and then there's the 3-to-1 match that I talked about for the TD match for some of the other digital campaigns. So we really try to maximize our added value when we can. Key performance indicators, how do we track this? Obviously, we look at our advertising and how it's working, as much public relations as we get. The big metrics are app downloads, subscriptions, increase in total tax revenue. Clearly, that's our primary objective. Star Report, Datafy, we talked about before, and some other programs that we use to kind of say, is what we're doing, is it actually working? This is Datafy. This is what I want to show you. This is every device that has traveled into the Gatlinburg market in the last 3 years. And that is the power of the Gatlinburg brand right there. That is impressive. That is impressive. Now, the only reason you see Knoxville, there's a 50-mile radius around Knoxville that kicks out people who are local, people that we purposely take out that section for this report. But that's how many people have visited here. A device entered Gatlinburg market in the last 3 years. It's crazy. We know where they came from, we know how long they stayed in market, and we know how much they spent. And we retarget those people, but that's crazy, isn't it?
Do you have a number of that, the total number?
I can get it. I don't have it on there, but it's
over 3 years. I wonder how much
it's
that is.
exponential. Yeah,
I'd like to know
yeah.
about
It's
the last 3
probably
per
30
year.
Yeah, it's probably 25 to 30 million. I would think from that perspective. But I mean, it's crazy. Anyway, Angela, you want to talk a little bit about our awards?
Thank you, Chad, for your leadership. Before he gets to the budget, I just wanted to say a few things. I want you all to know the amazing team we have in the marketing department. You know, from our award-winning website to our app to our emails. You know, Gretchen does a great job taking care of all that. Our social media, which is reaching over 1 million visitors a month. Our YouTube channel, we've got an awesome session of it's Exploring with Elizabeth that she's updating monthly, and Caroline's on the road in some of these key markets, you know, talking about Gatlinburg, talking our story, sharing our story, elevating the destination. This really shows the dedication to Gatlinburg. We also have 2 amazing partners. We've got Finn and Design Sensory, whose creativity and their strategic guidance continue to help make Gatlinburg, you know, get us to the next level. And then the marketing plan you have in front of you is some of our highlights and accomplishments. This spring, we are launching a new campaign called Share Your Memories. We'll have new commercials, video, creative focus on family and generational travel, capturing emotions, experiences, and connections that make Gatlinburg so special. And then again, I want to thank, here's some of the photography from that shoot. And again, I want to thank City Commission, you know, for giving us those extra dollars to continue to stay at the same marketing level that we've been running for the last couple of years.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. So when we wrap it up, thank you, Angela. So when you wrap it up, if you look at the pie chart, obviously it's in the back of the book. This kind of just shows where we spend the total marketing expenditure. 2026, we're slated to spend $8.51 million. You can see predominantly the majority of it is OTT, CTV, and regular television. So, and that continues. The shift to digital TV is just a progression that you'll see. But any questions at all about this before we go over the budget?
I was going to say that I've seen on like Hulu and Disney and some of those non-advertisements, like State of Georgia's on there.
Yep.
I mean, there's so many different ones, municipalities, different things that others are doing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that, you know, Disney had that locked down for the longest time, just like ESPN does. And so now they're like, hey, you know, we could probably make a lot more money if we open this up. And that's where that premium inventory is coming in. So yeah.
They even got an Airbnb Mexican thing on Mexico.
I've seen some really weird ones lately too. Yeah. And what's really interesting is when you go home, all your devices now, they talk to each other. Mm-hmm. So your iPad, your iPhone, and everything else, and you'll get an ad. You're like, what is this for? You know. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I'll get an ad for, do you need your Land Rover repaired? And yeah, it'll be accurate. Any other question before before we move on? Okay, well, those of you who have that in front of you, this is our 2028 our total plan for the CVB. I do have our VP of Finance and Ops with us here, Ms. Ann Berry. Thank you for being here. If there's any questions I can't answer, then she can absolutely answer. But if you look at the top portion of the operating income, you'll see that our operating income is slightly less coming in from city funding, but the next line, $43.99, you will see an increase of the one-time generous donation to our organization. That information is right there, which reflects that increase that you'll see. If you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see on 4,800 line item community co-op programs, just a few things I wanted to point out. You see a decrease from 650,000 to 285,000. That's a direct reflection of the ARPA funding that was part of the Recovery Act, and so we received quite a few ARPA dollars over the year. They have completely run out, and so that is the end of that money. I did have a conversation with Commissioner Ezell, and they are looking at a way to bring back some additional funding to kind of substitute that. I don't know if it will be in that capacity, but they are looking at that. But rounding out the total income, we're looking at $16,365,430, which is a slight increase over last year, keeping it almost flat. And then looking at the expense side, as you go down, most of the expenses are flat or down. The only ones I'd really like to point out, marketing expenditures, which is 6049, $8.51 million. Last year it was 8.17, again reflecting of the additional dollars that was given to go into the Florida market. So thank you for that. We will put very good use of that. As you go down public relations, that's pretty much flat. Vacation guide, which is a big one that you see a decrease. That's item 6070, the vacation guide and the in-room guide there. That's the decrease in printing. We're printing fewer of these as we're going more and more digital. You see a cost savings there. As you move down, community events is pretty much flat, and payroll is up slightly, and there's really not anything that's really out of the ordinary that I think would need to call on a variance. They're either just slightly down or flat, giving us a total operating budget of $16.35 million, which gives us a net ordinary income of 0, which is what we have to have. So, a balanced budget. Any questions at all about the budget or anything that we covered? Oh man, that was quick.
Good job, Chad.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
He didn't even use water to drink or anything. We just
Okay. Good deal.
Any comments or questions?
Chad, what do you, the mountains are calling?
Yes,
that kind of, we've been with that for a minute. Is it because it's been successful, or is there something?
No, I
like it. So
no, I don't think the mountains calling is not changing from my knowledge.
How long have we had that now? 5 years?
Yeah, we've had it longer than that. We've had it since Tomras. We've had it since Tomras. It was their creation. Yeah.
I guess my question is, there's one that talks about how many hotels or motels we have in Gatlinburg.
Mm-hmm.
In the spot that's in, again, and maybe it's just strategically put there for a reason, but stuff like that, what are we trying to appeal to? If somebody's up here, they've probably already got a motel room or a hotel room, probably.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I'm not putting it down, I'm just asking the thought behind it.
Is the creative that you saw, is it a social ad? Was it?
No, it was mountains are calling that. It says 13,000 hotel rooms.
Oh, you're talking about on the billboard.
Oh, the billboard.
Yeah.
On the billboard. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a marketing committee initiative to talk about local area intercept. People who come to the area, to remind them Gatlinburg has so many rooms, Gatlinburg has so many restaurants, Gatlinburg has so many things to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then, a lot of that we look at every year about changing some of those messaging, but those are in market. Yeah, and there's been a lot of questions about what do we do with the in-market boards, because they're already here. And it's a hefty dollar amount that we spend each and every year for in-market boards. So, at one point there were direction on them. Gatlinburg only 11 miles. And then it was a consensus in the marketing committee to say, hey, what if we used it as a way to remind people in the area how many things there are to do in Gatlinburg? Because when they come to the area, they don't even know they're in Gatlinburg. You'd be standing next to somebody and be like, hey, I'm in Dollywood in Gatlinburg. You know what I mean? So, and I've heard it happen several times.
Yeah, send us the tax money then.
Yeah, but that was That was the thought behind that, was local area intercept to remind them of what Gatlinburg had. Yeah.
And Kirby, with the new commercials and the new campaign, those will be updated in spring. So by spring, there'll be new boards up.
But is it gonna stick with the same theme?
No,
So
it'll-
totally different?
It'll be the new, yeah, and we're
Yeah.
actually showing those next week at the marketing committee meeting.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And we're sticking with the mountains are calling, but the tagline, or not the tagline is the mountains are calling, but what I think we've created this year is pretty interesting. It's your friends get to like it, but you get to love it. And so it's all shot from a first-person perspective where you're having with your family, and then it's from a social perspective where people are liking it, and you see the hearts going on. And we're kind of we're transitioning that from a TV commercial to digital, social, all the way to billboards. So I think it's going to be good. Yeah. Yeah.
Good deal. Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir.
Ask for a motion to adjourn this workshop. Motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. We are adjourned.